This episode is about minutes 61 through 65 of The Rise of Skywalker with returning guests Darth Choco and Element7. Hello there and welcome to Star Wars Music Minute, where we celebrate the music and sound of Star Wars 5 cinematic minutes at a time. I'm Chrysanthi Tan, feel free to call me Xanthi, and today is all about minutes 61 through 65 of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. In this excerpt of the film, Ren and Kylo are still in their Force Connect space, and they get into a lightsaber duel from their separate locations. Hux reveals himself to be the First Order spy, and Kylo tells Rey about her lineage, and also that the two of them are a Dyad in the Force. Today, I am pleased to have a Dyad in the Force as my guests, Darth Choco and Element7, Star Wars content creators, and hosts of the Dyad in the Force podcast. Hello.
Yeah, perfect episode to have us both on. So we appreciate the artistry there.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, it's good to be on. Thank you for having us.
I feel like this is there are a few interesting things in this set of minutes, and I look forward to talking about it with you both, because there's interesting things musically. There are a few different threads that we're following, and some lore that's hitting us, at least, was the first time we saw it in theaters. But what are you, before we jump right into the minutes, do you have overall thoughts or vibes about the set of minutes?
I mean, for me, while, this is not my favorite Star Wars film, I actually really like the scene. The concept of them fighting each other in the space that they've established over the past two films, and just some of the visual design behind it, where the red berries spill out into this stark white room and stuff like that. I think is just really gorgeous, and so it was cool to get this 5-minute period, because honestly, I never paid attention to the music in this part. I was more paying attention to the visuals, and so it was nice to sit there and appreciate something else about the same piece.
Cool. And you?
Yeah, I haven't dived too deep into the music of this scene either. Just in general, when I first watched it in theaters, it was it had a certain kind of alien-esque type of tension in the music when I first heard it, but
Alien
my thoughts
1979 Alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in general, we very much share the same sentiment about this scene in particular, being a Dyad, and I often I forget that our namesake comes from this particular movie in general. But yeah, the lore drop in this movie, and in particular in these minutes, is astonishing. It's astronomical how much I forget happens in these minutes.
Yeah, I would like to hear, as we go along, which lore things are completely new, because it's hard to go back in time when you already know the lore, and because now it's been already talked about elsewhere, and so it's easy to forget where it first came from. Yeah, and also sometimes if it's new to me, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's new. It could have been already discussed somewhere else that I haven't read yet or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just start the minutes, and we'll just listen to a few seconds of it.
You lied. I never lied to you. Your parents were no one. They chose to be. To keep you safe.
Don't.
You remember more than you say. I've been in your head.
I don't want this.
Search your memories. Remember them. See them.
I know. Rey, be brave.
Okay, there's already a lot. It's cool that we get to start out in this Force Connect space, because I really like when they have these moments. I really like their you know, whether it was in The Last Jedi or in The Rise of Skywalker, just basically whenever they're Force Skyping, it's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah. This is one of the scenes. I think in general, the lore drop exists within the larger narrative of The Rise of Skywalker, but this scene in particular kind of sets it in stone. This sort of space that they're in with each other that allows them to interact with each other. The first one was the festival where she takes the necklace, and in this one they're interacting with each other, and it has a real world effect in both of their spaces with the tumbling of the what did you call it, Choco? Beans?
Berries?
The berries?
They look like berries to me. Yeah.
They sound more like beans, though.
Maybe they're beans, because I'd like to say they spilled the beans there, because that would just be very apropos.
Yeah, but it added this very tangible effect to both of their spaces, and it kind of lent credence to their connection and what's possible between the two. I'm used to answering this question a lot, like in the early careers of Element7, Darth Choco. It's like, how did they pass the lightsaber between each other? And we're often like, well, it's established that they can like exist within this space together, outside of everyone else's purview.
And do you feel like that adds on to what we know from The Last Jedi? Like, do you think it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the Last Jedi, when we had their first, Force time, where we had, where it was during the rain, and then of course Kylo Ren looked around in a ship, and there was rain all over the place, and he was like confused. And then we had the hand touch,
Yeah.
All of our Pride and Prejudice fan people really love that scene. But yeah, so we had them do the hand touch. I also like to think of when they shot that scene, because she was freezing and he was on set all bundled up so that he could feed the lions and stuff, and then like do the hand touch scene while she was like I just think that's funny. No, I think it adds to it, and it adds a whole new dynamic, right? They established something, and then they tested the realms of what's possible using that same ideology. And in the previous films, beyond music, it has some of the best like sound design. Previously, whenever they'd enter it, all the sound would be sucked out of the room, right? And so in this scene, it's similar, but it heightens the sound of like the lightsabers and the action and the music. So you have like the strings down low building tension, and then you have the horns from, and it's not Kylo Ren's theme, but it sounds like it's in the same key, like it's intruding on her space. And I think that's a cool touch.
It actually is, I think, the part like at the beginning of the minutes, it is Kylo Ren's B theme, his hesitant theme. So, yes, correct. The soundscape of their Force Connect space is really special, and it was special in The Last Jedi, and it is special here. There are similarities and there are differences. Dave Accord and Matt Wood have kind of described this, and I shared a little bit about this last episode too, but I'll repeat it again. Where Dave Accord says the ambiance is like they kind of become one thing. The sounds within that Connect space are different, like than they are when they're outside of the Connect space. So the sword fight, all the sound effects of the lightsabers, the swishes and the clashes are not traditional saber sounds. They're all unique sounds to that weird space, and that's the thing they came up with J.J. Abrams. And I think that's like. There are weird sounds during their duel, while they're fighting. And so to the point, like I wasn't sure what those sounds, where they were coming from. and we'll get to more of those. We already, I think, heard one of them, but
Yeah, because I was wondering if they were traditional sounds, but then like pitched different or fed through a filter at certain parts or something like that. But it would make sense if they just did all new sounds. Matt Wood is a madman.
yeah.
Also, listening to that without the moving picture really tends to let you focus on the emotion a lot. And, I'll just say, regardless of how you may feel about The Rise of Skywalker as a film, like hearing Daisy's emotions and Adam Driver, their performance in these minutes, just outstanding acting.
Yeah. Really good. I'm going to put on screen this shot of Daisy with Rey with the dagger in her left hand and the lightsaber in the right hand, just in a stance that I feel like I don't notice her doing very much. I don't know. What do you make of this? Maybe you can explain to me this this lightsaber form or whatnot. What is she doing here?
There's no clear stance.
Yeah, it just
that I'm aware of.
It looks like, you know what? I think it's just her wrist is probably cocked really far back, and that's why it looks like the lightsaber is being held the wrong way almost. It's probably, I mean, it's a still frame, so it's just a very small snapshot in time.
I don't know if that's if it's reverse grip or not, or if what you said, like it's just like this.
Her wrist goes very far. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just find myself disappointed because I was hoping she was going to use the dagger too, and
I mean,
if we think about that, then it is a form of Jarkai, but not in the stance that we're used to seeing. Ahsoka is a very prominent Jarkai. Like that's our signature look at that form. But that particular shot right there doesn't show any kind of specific lightsaber form stance.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I also note her use of her holding the dagger, where I'm like, oh, was she? It looks like she's going to use it to actually fight.
Yeah,
which would have been a really funny twist, I think.
Yes, saber lock and then just shank him real quick.
Yeah, so I'm going to play from the beginning again, and then we can talk over it this time. I'll play it kind of.
You're mine.
I never lied to you. Your parents were no one. They chose to be. To keep you safe.
Don't.
You remember more than you say. I've been in your head.
I don't want this.
Search your memories.
There's a musical stab followed by a wee,
Yeah.
which I think is supposed to be a lightsaber clash, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I watched that part.
Given they said that the sounds in this space were intentionally different, I don't know if it's supposed to be a lightsaber clash or it is.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, it sounds similar to. There is a lightsaber sound that I don't know how to replicate. It's not a clash, and it just happens sometimes. I think when the tip touches something, but I
do in particular focus on the that happens.
I mean, that really high pitched sound happens a few times in the set of minutes, so we'll hear it a couple more times for sure. And after the stab, after the stab, we hear a very piercing piccolo. That, let's just.
Remember them. See them.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
You'll be safe here. I promise.
Okay, I have to stop there because there's a funny thing about the music in there. Lots of sound though, so it's hard to tease apart. But I have this track on the For Your Consideration soundtrack, so we can listen to it without the sound effects and without the dialogue. Yeah, what do you make of this flashback part on Jakku, Rey's mom and dad, little Rey?
I mean, my first thought on when I saw this was like, is that what Palpatine used to look like?
Oh, because so your first watch through, you knew that she was Rey Palpatine?
No, I mean, that was actually the active theory I always had. Because I was just like, you know what? If they have, she's light that comes from dark, and then he's dark that comes from light, and then you can have them cross over. Things didn't ultimately pan out as I thought, but yeah, this was on my first watch through.
Interesting. Did you have it spoiled, Element?
Yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't in searching like social media. It was actually my Google feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was just a totally irresponsible publication. Which is fine because I really didn't have any kind of stakes in it regardless. I was a Rey Kenobi person. But of course, having read the novelizations after the fact, coming into this movie, the signs were all there. In particular, I read the Force Awakens novelization like after I watched the Last Jedi, and when there's this amorphous voice telling Rey to kill him, and I was like, God dang it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so they probably didn't even know when they wrote that novelization, but still, you can find things that support the eventual path that they went down.
Yeah. And then now listening to that, it just brings Shadow of the Sith
right
to mind.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you both read Shadow of the Sith.
Oh yeah.
I read it too, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I also feel like, well, what do you think? Did it fill lore gaps for you?
It definitely filled some lore gaps, or at least it put a it put down like a something I can direct people to versus like this is what obviously happened in between here and here. Like if you think about it, it also like it gave us evidence that the one character played by the Hobbit.
No.
I think it was some great
Doctor, not Doctor. Like what's his name? Dominic
Beaumont.
Beaumont. Beaumont Kim is his. Yeah. Him just randomly in the movie because it did bother me when watching it when he just like dark secrets only Sith knew, and you're like, who are you? So I liked getting his backstory and stuff like that in there, as well as seeing what a menace Pride was in his like Ewok fur coat and
yeah. Also seeing or reading why Unkar was the answer.
Yeah.
Larger context of that.
As a Legends fan, it's also great to have Lando and Luke drinking hot chocolate together.
Totally.
That's just the thing that always has to happen.
Yeah, that was funny. Okay, so I'm going to play from the soundtrack now, and okay, I'm curious if you think the bit of music when Rey is saying goodbye to her parents. I'm curious if you think that sounds familiar. I mean, this is a leading question. It's absolutely a leading question, but here we go. So it's hinting at Kylo Ren's hesitant theme. So now Kylo is saying your parents were no one. The piercing piccolo. Now the flashback is going to start here. Rey saying goodbye. Okay. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really an like toward the end there, it's like really emotional and like romantic, like in the sense of like, I can imagine it in like an old movie or something.
That's what I have in my notes here.
Oh, really?
Was oddly romantic because it didn't feel. It felt more romantic than it did nostalgic, which or tragic.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. It sounds old. It sounds old Hollywood romance to me.
Yeah, the best way I could
hear
describe
that.
or reconcile with it being oddly romantic is that there's a certain level of clashing happening between the brass and the strings. Like it feels like if you were to separate them and isolate them, they would almost be playing two separate thematic motifs. But then they put them together and it's like they're oddly flowing together well, but then like when the brass is low and in the back of the mix, the strings are playing a little bit more of like a major or a romantic undertone, but then then the horns come back and they're louder and it becomes what's that word? Antagonistic at times.
Oh, interesting. I want to hear. Go ahead, and then we'll listen to it again.
I wonder if that's if maybe my thoughts are off because I'm thinking of this as the memory versus this is what's actually happening to Rey in this scene, because there is the nostalgia of her parents, but there also is something going on with her and Ben. Plus this the music, the intensity continually goes in and out at a like not at like a random rate, right? So it's almost like all emotions are fluttering in and out and with varying intensity, just kind of bouncing around. I wonder if it could be more leaning towards that. And that's
okay. I like these thoughts.
I don't know.
I like these thoughts. Okay, we'll listen to it again.
Right here particularly.
What I'm hearing is like, it's like, doo-doo, and there's low strings or, low instruments kind of anchoring it down. But then as the strings get higher, it's like more of the orchestra fills in. So then it becomes like, it kind of explodes out. And it does sound like a flutter of emotions for sure. I mean, it is my opinion that the score is meant to describe the tearful, like, rain, but like the flashback scene, because that is what is on screen while we are hearing that music. And I'll put some shots. I'll put some screenshots on screen. Like basically, parents are saying, "Be brave," and they're hugging her, and then she has to watch them go. So I want to go back to your comment, Choco, about it sounded oddly romantic. Well, it just so happens that that little bit of music at the end here is the same bit of music we hear toward the end of the movie when Kylo and Rey are about to kiss. I think they just tracked it in.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, it doesn't lead in the same way, but the very end of it is.
Oh, I should have been able to pick up on that because I spent so much time editing that scene with to have Anakin in there, so I kept on hearing na 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 na.
It's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll play you that part so you can hear it in context. So this would be about 4:14. Yeah, okay. So this is after Ben has healed Rey. Right there. And then they kiss. But yeah, so oddly romantic.
They
indeed.
all rose and cheered.
Yeah.
And then he wordlessly disappears.
Yeah, because when
Which
I was.
I'm actually not mad at because
You mean you're not mad that he
what would he
disappeared?
say?
Or you're not mad that he died?
That
I'm
he didn't,
eternally
that he
mad.
didn't say anything there. That he didn't say anything there because I was like, well, what would he have said? Be like, sweet.
Something. No, I mean, listen, I mean, I will be that contrasting thought, or maybe makes me a contrarian, but having Ben Solo's only lines in the movie being substantively "ow" hurts me. And I feel like, hey, there's a moment of connection here that there could have been a last words. There wasn't a moment for him to speak during the showdown with the Knights of Ren and Palpatine doing his speech, "Strike me down," and all that stuff. So maybe it would have added 1 or 2 words to Ben Solo's entire dialogue, but that part made sense. If he said anything, it would have been then.
Yeah.
Maybe if he said Rey, like anything more.
Give me a line.
Yeah.
Give me a line.
Let's hear
So
it.
You should
so
say.
Rey says Ben, and he says Rey. That's it.
All right. I mean,
I'm not sitting here proposing that he says, "Well, welcome to my TED Talk. I'm gonna talk about the Dyad lore." That's like half Keanu, half Nicolas Cage. Jeez.
do you know if the
I mean,
script?
you know what? Actually, okay, this is probably cheesy as all hell, but
Okay,
I
let's hear
could
it.
see a world where he says Rey and is searching for the next words to say, and then she says, "I know," and that'd be the last thing.
You know what? That reminds me. In my edit when I had the ghost of Anakin in there, just for fun, mind you. I don't think he needs.
Is this
to
on
be
YouTube?
There. Yeah,
TikTok or something?
it's called The Rise of Skywalker. No, TROS Ending Redux.
Okay.
And I'll send you the link if you can't find it.
Okay,
it was like first year on TikTok, but what I had him say then as someone, I don't know if I had him living, but I added in by virtue of casting a sound-alike or someone who could do his voice well. He said, "I can finally see your surroundings," which is a callback to, "Are you doing this? I'm not doing this. Like, I can't see your surroundings."
Because they were finally actually together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess he can't see. I guess the only way that he knows her surroundings otherwise is just because his lightsaber, like he ends up interacting with the environment. So he just knows based on,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he had his Vader's helmet fall into the space he was, and he's like, "Oh, that's where she is."
Yeah. He didn't recognize the berries, the beans.
He should have.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some like maintenance or.
Well, he was the one who spilled the beans.
Oh, that's true. I
So
don't know.
he should
Maybe
have
they're
been like,
common. Maybe it's just they're everywhere. Okay, we'll continue listening.
They sold you to protect you.
Stop talking.
Rey, I know what happened to them.
Okay, there's that woo again.
Yeah, that sounded
like
I was
that.
like, is that a siren? Is that a
That's a cool sound. That makes me happy.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it more of a wee
was
or
that the
more of a
Butabi
woo?
brothers doing the Emilio? Or
don't know
doing
who
the ambulance?
Who are they?
Night at the Roxbury?
Night at the
Oh,
Roxbury.
okay, yeah. That's funny.
So, oddly enough, squirrels make that sound.
The
They just
that sound?
yeah, I've seen squirrels
Interesting.
make that sound, and it was quite obnoxious. I was on a camping trip, and they just hung out going, "Boo!" Like, what?
Do you know what that sound?
What is that?
When they do that sound? What is it? Like, is it like mating call or something?
I don't know. Probably some form of arousal. That would make sense.
Yeah. Do you think it's more of a wee or more of a woo?
Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of a like
To me, it's just
that
a
specific klaxon.
Or a boo?
It did literally sound like that, but given our experience with audio, a lot of things can come from like the combination of two things that were never that thing in particular.
Yeah.
It could be two
The
sound
close-
sources that together sounds like boo, but was like two people going like and they're like
Yeah.
I mean, the
Go ahead.
closest thing that it sounds like is the ship of the changeling spy in Attack of the Clones.
Oh, Zam Wessel's ship?
Yeah. Do you remember when?
oh yeah. It had like a general like almost,
Yeah, it's
right?
high pitched.
No. When it would like fly or dive, you would hear.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it also kind
I
of
always
reminds me of
hated that sound.
the carbonite freezing.
The
Just a
reason
little
I
bit.
think it's something completely different is because I've spent a lot of time like watching those ghost hunting shows, and every time they hear like a full on sentence of something in their EVPs, I'm like, bro, that's like your shirt going like ruffling against your body. Like you can see it in the video while it happens, and so like anything can really make that sound if the right conditions are met. You can get a siren somewhere.
It could be like a sound mixed with like a theremin note.
Sure. I mean,
And in that case, what's the theremin doing there?
I'm curious what diegetically this sound is supposed to represent, because I'm curious, like
Squirrels.
like what is
Space
it?
squirrels.
Like what is it labeled in their library? Like,
We actually may know a guy.
I'm very curious to know what that sound, because if we hear it again, and I hope we hear it again in other media now, so that would help clarify what it is, what that's happening.
What's happening on screen at that very moment?
I think it's a lightsaber clash. Let me see. It happens with the lightsaber clash, but not all the clashes have that.
I hear a klaxon in the background. It's really, really low,
Okay.
but it I hear a deep, like after that, after the sound, then I
Yeah.
hear a really very muted deep.
Huh. Okay. Let's hear it again. I don't know that I hear it, but also, do you hear it?
I don't hear it, but I don't hear it, but I feel like I may have listened to this clip too much because I could have sworn I heard a Wookiee roar in there. just now. So
if you get his unstable lightsaber in the correct frequency, you can hear it.
Maybe it has something to do with that. Yeah. Listeners, give us your theories below, please.
I know what happened to them.
Is that the Wookiee?
You don't hear that?
Oh.
That's,
What was that?
that
Yeah.
after the fact.
Okay, that's the
Like the
klaxon
sound
area.
happens, and the sound happens in a very, but then like after like a half second later, it goes.
Okay, we will
like
listen to this
more-
one
more
more time
sus-
because I need to hear this.
You,
Stop talking.
Rey. I know what happened to them.
And you don't mean the trumpet?
No,
Okay.
although it may be the trumpet now that you think of now that you've mentioned it.
Rey.
Okay, also, I'll just point out, I feel like the oboe is teasing the Imperial March. It's like, dee, 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 dee.
I know what happened to them.
Yeah,
Oh, after that, I hear an effort sound, after the trumpet, I hear another, it sounds like just Rey grunting.
yeah, just a high pitched.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's Rey. I think
Yeah.
Rey's going.
yeah. I think it's Rey. Okay, now that we've listened to that 50 times. The beans.
Legion General, the scavenger's not with them.
Take them away. Terminate them.
That I just can't not think of Nemoidians, unfortunately, with that. Take them away.
Shoot her or something.
I was. Yeah, that's weird. Hearing that without the visual, I thought that was like some spy agent, like the ISB agent. Sounded like take them away. Like it's like wow.
Yeah, my new
I guess
theory.
we are. I guess we're not doing the Asian stereotypical fob
Yeah.
Nemoidians anymore.
Yeah. I think they're okay. So they look here. I'm looking at the red berries / beans / whatever they are. They remind me kind of like of lychee or something. Like they look kind of like a fruit with a hard shell. But then here's a close up of, and I don't know what we're
I
looking
think
at
it's
here.
just cherries.
Cherries. Very hardened cherry. Maybe it's kind of cold. It's pretty cold on this planet, so maybe they're just frozen. Frozen cherries.
I was gonna say they look like two different things on the top, and then what actually spills out looks like it's smaller.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like to me, they look
Well-
like for a second they look like the radishes that you get at like Mexican restaurants.
They do kind of look like radishes.
But now that we're kind of wondering what that is, and we now have a way to walk around Kijimi, I'm gonna go and see if I can spot that vendor.
Oh.
Wait,
yeah.
is this on a new game or something?
Yeah, Star
Yeah,
Wars
Star Wars
Outlaws.
Outlaws.
Oh, I didn't know you could go to Kijimi on that.
Yeah, you can go to Kijimi. You can go to there's new planets: Toshara, Akiva, and then there's Tatooine, Kijimi, and what was the other one?
I mean,
Toshara,
Kanto.
Akiva, Kijima.
Well, yeah, actually, please find out if those berries / radishes are there.
There's a lot of Easter eggs in that game. Like when you go around looking at like data pads and
so
just like
Oh, that's cool.
there's so many there's like hints to the Battle of Scarif. There's also hints to like if you've read the Crimson Reign comics, the bounty hunters. Lots.
That's fun.
It is about
Yeah.
the underworld, so it would contain those Easter eggs.
And then of course Akiva is the planet we visit in Aftermath. And a lot of the Aftermath stuff, even though it hasn't happened yet, they lay the groundwork for what will happen on Akiva in Aftermath.
Oh, nice.
In this game, it was very interesting.
Yeah, and I know that Outlaws has there's a diegetic like soundtrack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually great.
That's all I know.
Oh,
about
the
It's a
in-universe
diegetic
music is really good. Actually,
Cool.
I spent
that's
10
cool.
minutes just watching the Cantina band play and listen.
Nice. Nice.
Like-
we need more people like
there's-
you and watch the musicians play.
I'm just
there's one on a space station, and it was just like a rave that was just happening. You know, it was just like chilling up there watching a DJ do their stuff.
That's pretty cool.
I got a comment on my review of the game, and they were basically asking me, so you just had fun walking around in Star Wars? And I said, I'm a fan. Are you a fan? I would like I got to walk around Kijimi and Tatooine. I went to the Lars homestead. Like, that is stuff you could only do in open world games that they enable you to do. You know, I don't know who wouldn't be excited to walk up to the Twin Sunset at Lars.
Oh, destination.
You know.
That's a prime destination for sure.
Yeah. Especially when you look left and it's just an ashen barren because it takes place after Empire,
Yeah.
so you're just kind of like you run into the
Bad
you run
stuff,
into like
bad stuff has happened here.
you run into homesteaders and they're like, dang, everything's been taken. I'm like,
But it's a pretty
geez.
sunset.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna keep playing. There it is again.
Tell me where you are. You don't know the whole story. It was Palpatine who had your parents taken. He was looking for you. But they wouldn't say where you were. So he gave the order.
Palpatine's theme.
Isn't on Jakku. She's gone.
Ochi just stabbed Rey's mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still
I
stuck
actually
on this
really
siren.
like-
I know, right? It's such a bizarre sound that keeps recurring.
I feel like there's an element of Rey's exertion there.
Okay.
There's a certain like, ow, like that I hear. It could like in terms of frequency match up really well with a certain note that kind of makes it meld into one, and then as she exits the exertion, it goes "Meow," like has that, I don't know, phaser quality to it.
You know, like, have you ever been to one of those places? Either sometimes they're like, I've been to one at a Buddhist temple. I've been to one at, like my old university, and there's one like at the LA Opera, the place where the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, where you stand in a certain way, and if you face a certain position, it's like the architecture is such that you hear your echo you hear yourself really, really amplified. And it's like a fun sound trick that some spaces, I guess, have. But no one else can hear you that loud. But like, you could be talking, then you face that direction, and suddenly you hear it like just your sound is just like surround sound, super loud. It's really, it's really, really weird. I wonder if this is just a Rey effort sound, but just the room is catching it at a specific part where it's making it resonate super weirdly. I don't know. It's another option.
the resonance pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
This time
There's
was like, boo! It was like the note bent though pretty sharply. So, yeah.
There's a place that I want to visit that I think it's known as the only place you can't hear yourself.
Oh,
Like there's like it's like a square almost, but there's like a circle in the center where you stand in it and you can only hear the ambience around you, but you can't hear yourself.
weird.
Or it might be the opposite. But
Okay.
there's a place where you stand where you can't hear something. Either you can't hear the ambience or you can't hear yourself.
Well, I am, and it's outdoors.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I kind of want to now make like a list of acoustical destinations, like that have places that have cool acoustic properties. So if anyone has some to suggest, do let me know, because those are delightful to come across.
Oh,
I mean,
so
didn't they design the waterfall at the Griffith Observatory to sound different in each section?
I don't
so in
know.
each section you stand in, it sounds different. Yeah, it's like a water thing as you walk into Griffith Observatory.
Cool.
They're in LA.
so it's neither of what I described. It's that no one else can hear you.
Ooh.
I think it's called an anechoic chamber.
Okay. Anechoic chamber. That's cool. Okay. I want to test that. I want to test that so bad. Yeah. Cool.
I will say, one thing that impresses me is when OG stabs Rey's mom, the musical build-up has like 4 different peaks where you think the moment is here because it hit crescendos up to here, and then something else comes up higher, and then something else comes up a little bit higher, and it keeps doing that. And I think that's interesting. And of course, we have the refrain of Palpatine's theme.
Right. I want to play Palpatine's theme actually from the soundtrack because you can hear a really cool descending violin tremolo line that you can't hear when all the sound effects are happening. Okay. So here we go. Right here. It's like, and I love this.
Yeah, that's cool. I would never have noticed that without the everything
tremolo
else turned
thingy, the descending string line.
Yeah,
yeah, and I wouldn't have noticed it if not for having the isolated audio track, for sure.
Yeah, it does wonders when nothing else is present. Mm-hmm. Also, it's called the center of the universe in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's on my list now. So I want to call attention to this flourish, which is it is octatonic, meaning okay, forget what notes I just played on the piano. I'll just sing it. This is a very John Williams-y, Star Wars-y type of run, like a type of hit where the half steps and whole steps alternate, and it's a very fast upward scale, kind of with a sustained note at the end. And just in a few, just 10 minutes ago in the film or something, maybe it's 20 minutes in the film, we got something very similar where it's obviously, it's not supposed to be the same thing at all, but it's such a similar gesture. It just kind of gives you a sense of, I guess it's a John Williams-ism. It's really part of his musical language. Here we go. That thing. Yeah. So just a violin's doing a scale and hitting the top. And it's not just violins, but yeah.
I just think John Williams
You think John Williams
it's
loves...
the sound equivalent of I can't think of the word. George Lucas had a specific word for the thing you put on the everyday object to make it work in Star Wars.
Oh, what is that? What is that word?
Yeah, there's a specific word for it, which is a thingy that you put on the regular object, and you're like, nope, that makes it a space thingy. And that's the John Williams equivalent.
That's really funny. Yeah,
I know there's moments where people put a metal bracket inside their grands.
Inside their Grands?
Their grand piano. Like they put it right inside on top of the strings. And it gives it that wang, 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 wang.
Yeah, that's called prepared piano, when you put stuff inside it to, people put like tacks and all kinds of things to make the strings rattle or sound metallic. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I'll continue playing from the minutes.
She isn't on Jakku. She's gone.
Shattered helmet, Darth Vader's helmet.
So that's where you are. You know why the Emperor's always wanted you dead. I'll come tell you.
I think that's actually such a menacing line. Like, all of his lines are creepy here, but "I'll come tell you" is like, why do we have to be in person for this?
Stay right there. Stay right there.
Yeah.
On my way.
No, don't come.
Just
I was going to
say
say
it
this.
now. I can hear
I was
you.
going to say this before,
Yeah.
but it's evident. It's evident now with this, with also this additional context. I really feel like it's really hard to explain, but I think John Williams loves to score chasing strings. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's set up with strings, and then the horn and the brass likes to like come in and be like, "Oh, now I'm here." Strings go, "Oh, okay, no," just catches up.
Yeah, no, that's the interplay between strings and brass is something that John Williams does use to powerful and exciting effect. And the contrast in textures, like the timbre of strings and brass, are distinct enough that they kind of can do a nice dance or, I don't know, game of the chasing. That's interesting. I'm going to be thinking about that.
I mean, in this scene, it really, I don't know, it feels to me like the strings just represent mostly Rey, or just because it's all about like the tension that she's feeling, and then the memory goes into like the romanticism, and then Kylo Ren's theme is mostly the brassy sounds, and he keeps interjecting himself into each of these moments. At least that's how I'm hearing. And then in this scene, I do love how like frenetic it gets, leading to just the silence of Kylo Ren's realization of where she is. Mm-hmm. That's what kind of gives me that thought, because when he stops, that's when that sound stops.
I think there's something to that, like with the strings being more representative of Rey and the brass here being more representative of Kylo. Yeah. Kind of want to hear that again now. Let's see.
So that's where you are. You know why the Emperor's always wanted you dead. I'll come tell you. She was in my...
And the brass at the end there feels ominous.
Yeah.
I can almost, in a weird sense, reverse those rules.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like in the way that the way that the brass comes in at the very end there almost feels like it's a stand-in for Rey saying, "I gotta get out of here." Like no. Like, and so if you think about just the duality or the dyad nature between the two, you can almost interchange emotions. If you put Rey with the brass and Kylo with the strings, there is a more heightened like urgency with his emotions, but a more like a unsure emotion with Rey.
You know what? If I had to write an essay to argue either one of these sides, I feel like I could do it. Because like now that you say, I don't know, now that you've floated this idea, the brass kind of drops at the end. It's like, it kind of, I could see it representing like maybe Rey's stomach dropping, or like she's getting a bad feeling, like she has a bad feeling or something. And if I want to play this section again now with kind of with all of this in mind.
Well, I would also recommend if we step it back briefly as well, because like
I was going to go back further than I started last time.
Okay, because like specifically we have. I mean, when the whole scene starts, right? It's like strings building that tension, and then that's when it comes in with Kylo's theme, and then once she goes into her memory, that's entirely strings until he steps in after that.
Oh, you mean like at the very beginning of the minutes?
Yeah, I think this might be a solid theme throughout. But yeah.
No, I mean, okay, you're right about that. This could also flip, and of course, this is.
Absolutely.
This is more of a hypothetical exercise. It's in reality. John Williams isn't like actually thinking that it's actually really clear. No,
this is something that me and Choco do a lot as well. Because on the flip side, because it's only strings in that flashback, it means that Kylo is the one controlling this revelation to her. He's the one telling her the information.
I guess.
I mean, she's the one remembering, and he's like, "You remember more than you know," and then she remembers it.
Yeah.
You're mine.
I never lied to you. Your parents were no one. They chose to be. To keep you safe.
Don't.
You remember more than you say. I've been in your head.
I don't want this.
Search your memory. Remember them.
Okay, but then the piccolo is just, the woodwinds are just something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Strings, yeah.
Be brave.
You'll be safe here. I promise. They sold you to
It's a cool sound.
Stop talking.
Rey, I know what happened to them.
Legion General, the scavenger's not with them.
Take them away. Terminate them.
Tell me where you are. You don't know.
There's so much of it, right?
Story. It was Palpatine who had your parents taken. He was looking for you. But they wouldn't say where you were. So he gave the order.
She isn't on Jakku. She's gone.
Helmet shattered.
So that's where you are. You know why the Emperor's always wanted you dead. I'll come tell you. She was in my
So that's up to where we are now. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm almost certain that Kylo's driving this scene with the strings.
Fascinating.
In almost all of the parts where she has to respond to his provocations, the brass comes in, accompanying her actions. And in this particular moment, right before that minute ends, he's like, wait for me, I'll come tell you, is followed by strings. But her like being like panting heavily. There's horns with her.
Yeah, there's horns with her when she's panting, but is it because she
isn't
feels
that the
bad, or is it
foreboding
because
of
he caused
his-
her?
No.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you can also split it into like she's specifically the high notes and he's the low notes, in that. But I can't truly see it the other way around because of how much it plays inside of Kylo Ren's theme. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
But you remember when we talked to Marianne about how much of his theme. Also, follow Marianne, and you guys should collaborate.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
She's
I'll look.
Yeah, she's at MARI_MAWI. She also talks about the music, and you guys would have a ton of fun talking to each other.
Cool, thank you.
But we're talking to her about like the connection with Rey's theme and Kylo's theme, and the way it like kind of morphs when it's Ben's theme. I don't think. Now, of course, like you said, right? This is all of our feelings, and there's no
Answer. There's no
dedicated
answer.
John Williams audio dictionary where we could look up the answer to it all. But like, it really does kind of like come down to when I'm feeling this music play, the things that are happening on screen versus the association, the preconceived association I have with anyone's theme, right? Because at this point, it's like very freestyle to me in this moment.
Yeah. And I think
also we
that's-
always get the strings when we're inside of her memory. It's all strings.
Yeah, that might be true. Yeah, so far. I mean, I think obviously the answer is, I mean, we all have such different interpretive lenses, and I mean, you know, music and media of things affect everyone differently, obviously. But
we're a dyad in many respects, but you know, we can disagree on things.
Yeah,
Because
of
to
course.
that, I would say, how many times are we in her memory by virtue of her accessing it? Because she goes into the pool to get answers for herself. She can't get anything. She just sees a mirror of herself. It really only is when Kylo or Ben is inciting it out of her.
It's still in her though. Like if I make you remember
that's what I'm
something,
saying.
you're
Like,
still
but that's what I mean
remembering.
with Kylo driving it, right?
Is Kylo driving it, or is it just because she's touching the dagger?
Yeah, if we think about the psychometry of it, yeah.
I interpreted it as repressed memories on her part, and of course the dagger could very well be part of it, part of what she sensed when she first picked it up, you know, as well. But I always interpret it as a truth she's always known instinctually, but has been, you know, bearing it, and then he's like, "No, you remember more. I saw it. Remember."
Well,
and
that's
then she does remembers it in her head.
The only
And we
reason-
get to
the only
see what's in
reason-
her head.
the only reason I argue against that is because the purveying motif surrounding their dyad has always been them drawing stuff out of each other. The first time it's bridged, you know, she brings out his insecurities about never being as powerful as Darth Vader. And in that moment, he brings out her force potential and opens up the floodgates. And so, when even though I can agree that it's largely repressed and she knows this all, it is Kylo is the one that is extracting it out of her by challenging her notion of what she knows.
Sure. I think these are both
in that moment.
true. Yeah.
I feel like we're saying the same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
He's bringing it out of her, but I'm saying it's still her
Within,
memory.
yeah. You're just focusing on different parts of the chain, which is,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep playing.
Lock down the ship.
Actually,
And this is Hux.
myself.
Yeah.
What were you gonna tell Rey before?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a bad time?
Sort of is a bad time, Paul.
Well, I guess later this one we're looking out.
If you're gonna let something off your chest, maybe now's not the worst time.
Do you have thoughts about the humor there?
I thought it was forced at that moment. That scene in particular is not something that I'm a huge fan of.
The whole
Even
on the spy
though
section
it leads,
scene?
yeah.
I'm the way he says it is so hammy. But like this particular scene though, I thought it was weird the way they swerved with he's going to tell her something, and then like later they confirm, oh, he was going to tell her that he's force sensitive.
That's actually
And
what
you're
I
like-
thought in the theater. That's what I thought the first time I watched it, that's what he was going to tell her, that he's force sensitive.
All right, well then you're right.
Well, the thing is
I-
that scene in particular, I agree with the narrative contents of it, but it being packaged in such levity seems an odd choice to me. Because then it also causes the reveal of the spy to be kind of corny in that sense, which I don't also agree with on that front. But that thing where he says, "What were you going to tell Rey?" I always felt like that was something more profound than something you kind of just take out of your back pocket to tease your friend, which is what the how they filmed it ended up translating to.
Do you mean like if they were actually
For
going
me,
to
it
die?
felt like
Like he would have wanted to say something different to his friend than just know that?
I feel like
I
they could have
think
had the
so,
same
personally.
conversation without it being comedic in nature.
Okay.
I feel like that's something that you would write if there was a love triangle between the characters. And you know, one character that's interested in her is trying to make the other one say it so that they can like have it out in the open. That's kind of how I read the delivery, but that just wasn't the message, and so it felt weird for me.
Yeah,
personally.
they could have changed the question from "What were you going to tell Rey?" to Poe just coming out during this moment and saying, "I feel like something's been weighing heavy on you. Something's been bothering you this whole time."
Unless it was an admission of love for him, that's what it should have been.
I think I read it as Poe is kind of flirting with Finn.
Could be.
Like their banter in this movie is, and I don't think this is like necessarily actually the intention. I'm not reading a secret thing in there, but like I do think they have a funny, like, I don't know, almost flirty rapport, like where they're like, or you know, they get along, but they're like always teasing each other.
I mean,
No,
their rapport is definitely
think
more
they did
natural
it.
than Poe and Zori. Like, that
Yeah.
feels really like at the very
agree.
end when he's like does that little head nod. I'm like, bro, like really, like that felt way less natural than the chemistry between him and Ben for sure.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I didn't like it, because you know, even the actors were very on board with Storm Pilot being the thing, and it felt like a very Storm Pilot coded moment that just wasn't. Like the actors wanted this thing to happen, and then the studio was like, just so you know, they're not gay.
Right. But to know that they were playing it with that in mind, possibly, is
They were both very into that idea and have talked about it.
yeah. So that's how I read that. But Hux, okay, we're about to get to his admission.
I'm the spy.
What? You?
We don't have much time.
I knew it!
No, you did not.
After Hux says he's the spy,
So-
we get this like perky music.
I love this music because this is straight Mario 3. When you get on the ships. Did you play Mario 3?
No.
And Mario 3.
I will find a link
I've
to
played
this
it,
and put it in
but-
the show notes for sure, though.
But back in the
Look up
the
Super
day
Mario
when I
3
played-
Airship.
Okay. Super Mario 3 Airship theme. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, guys, take it away.
Sorry, it's doing an ad. Okay, let me look it up on
That's
my
like-
other YouTube
that's
channel.
how it starts. All right, guys. Okay, guys.
Yeah. They're not getting a free ad here. Okay, here we go.
Wait for the theme to come on.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
just
that's
what
funny.
I hear.
Oh, that's funny. I can
I
totally
mean,
hear it.
I hear the stepped nature of it.
Okay, it's the rhythm combined with the way that, yeah, okay. It's a few things. It's a few things. That's funny. That's good.
I'm the spy.
What? You?
We don't have much time.
I knew it!
Like it goes up. Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do, do,
I'm expecting it
It's
to
just
go
not
up,
exactly, but that's just like how.
It is very similarly shaped.
When I heard
for
it, my
sure.
brain was just like, I recognize that.
That's, yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's there.
Now, story wise, I actually do love Hux being the spy, but I think the execution maybe could have been a little better. But especially, after reading Phasma, for instance, also there is the Age of Resistance Hux story, where you really see that he is not loyal to to the First Order. He does not care about the First Order. He does not care about his family. He does not care about any of this stuff. He just seeks power. And, to have a rival like that, he would rather destroy his rival than work with them. Like he would do it to spite his own power base. And so that part does connect with the character for me.
Yeah, I
Fair
agree.
enough. Yeah. Okay.
Just the whole
go ahead.
I'm the spy. Like
Just the delivery of it is, yeah.
I feel like he would have left that to it's kind of obvious and would have his only words would have been like get out of here, like
And then they'd be like, you?
Right. They do
then he's
play
like,
it
"Go."
really, really big. And you're right. They could have conveyed the same information with just, instead of executing him, he lets them go. Then it would be obvious that he was the spy. Yeah, that's true. But then, then there's the whole shooting him in the arm, hopefully in the arm part.
What's your operating number? That's not even a language.
Do you know what 3PO is actually saying there?
it's Hatim.
It sounded like Hatis.
And so, okay, so that was a joke. I wasn't, okay. So sorry, not
Does
a
he
joke.
say-
The joke is that the stormtrooper doesn't recognize Hatis. It was just like, you're just doing gibberish. Okay.
He does say Wanga, right?
Yeah. If you were like, I don't know, at a restaurant and you're like, "What wine do you have?" And he's like, "Wanga," and you're like, "What?"
Because I believe Wanga is like to deal or to do a deal. That's why every time they have a proposal, they're always saying they want a Wanga. Do we have a deal?
Let's.
There she is. She's a survivor.
Oh, wait, no, we're not there yet.
Wait,
okay.
wait.
Nope, we're about a minute before that. Just kidding.
It's already before. You still on that? Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a bad time?
It sort of is a bad time, Paul.
Well, it's later. This is where we're looking out for you. You're gonna let something off your chest. Maybe now's not the worst time.
I'm the spy.
What? You?
We don't have much time.
I knew it!
No, you did not.
What's your operating number? That's not even a language.
Oh, I don't think I heard Wanga.
I heard Wanda.
Yeah, something like that.
It does still sound like Huttese, but I don't know what was said.
Okay.
Yeah, my first laser battle.
Where are the others?
They haven't come back.
Rey's theme.
Find them. Go.
Friends, ahead.
That
Isn't
is a different woo.
Isn't Rey's theme being led by the brass in that part? If we go back to the spy reveal, I think it's a proof of concept because he says exactly what we think he should say. Without the "I'm the spy," he says we don't have much time. Like it should have been
You're
straight
right.
to that.
It didn't bother me when I watched the movie, and I don't think it bothers me now, but I agree that it could have been achieved. We could have known the information if we just cut to that. We could have cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, let's hear Rey's theme.
Yeah, my first laser.
It is on brass.
Where are the others?
They haven't come back.
And then we're going to get Kylo's theme.
Find them. Go.
It's so buried, you can barely hear it. But it's there.
It's
Also on
still
brass.
with Rey on. It's still with Rey though visually, isn't it? When it plays those notes.
Yeah, I think it is. Let me see.
I mean, it's the sound of his
It's the-
his
yeah.
high pulling in.
this. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, which by the way, when I look at this set, I cannot, like, I'm just reminded of Rise of the Resistance at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
And
love that ride.
yeah, it's very good, but it's weird how now my memory is like watching the movie and I feel like I'm on the ride. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you.
I know.
Oh, yes, there they are. BB-8, come on.
I shut down the impeders. You've got seconds.
There she is. She's a survivor.
Wait.
And that's another one of those things. But did you hear the main theme there? Yeah.
I think.
And it's feel like it's just looking at the Falcon. So
Looking at the Falcon. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll play it again.
Impeders. You've got seconds.
There she is. She's a survivor.
Wait.
Just a really quick.
Quick. What? Well, they'll know.
Why are you helping us?
I don't care if you win. I need Kylo Ren to lose.
Didn't need that line either.
I liked the I need Kylo Ren. I think it did help me understand him better to know that he doesn't care if they would because it would be stranger, I think, if he were secretly a resistance sympathizer. I think it clarifies something for him to say what his motive is.
Yeah,
Not on your side, but
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing could have been achieved with I have my own reasons, but it has the same kind of tonal quality of I'm the spy. It's like, I don't care if Kylo wins or loses or whatever. So it's just kind of like
it's the ham. It's the ham.
Yeah.
He just has fistfuls of ham. Because I actually think he could have said the same line and just in a delivery that suited
maybe
my needs better. But
maybe if he
who the hell
said,
am I, right?
Maybe if I was writing
the scene, if I was writing the scene, he would just say, "The enemy of my enemy."
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Or he could have compounded it and just said, "I need Kylo Ren to lose." That's all.
Rather than, so you would just cut, "I don't care if you win."
Yeah.
Okay. I think that would be an acceptable cut. I think
between that and "I'm the spy," like just remove those, like Choco said, the hamminess of it. Just do that one part with "You don't have much time," and then go. And then it's like, "Why are you helping us?" "I just need Kylo to lose." That's all.
Counterpoint.
But then again, Star Wars is full of ham.
Yes.
We start out with Luke saying, "But I wanted to go to concentration for camera converters." There's a lot of weird stuff. So like, I don't talk as fast as Luke just blurts out his dialogue in the first film, because there's a few scenes where it's like where the dialogue explodes out of his face in an amazing way.
That makes me think of Mesa Windu's skits when he does like the Luke impression. Was like, "What is it okay?" Like, I'm just like, what? That is how Luke speaks. I did go to Tashi Station finally and get power converters.
Nice.
You can go to Tashi Station in the game.
Destinations.
And it made me so happy. So while we've been complaining about this like a bunch on this episode, for you listeners, just know it's a nitpick. Ultimately, it is what it is. Star Wars is full of ham. So we'll talk about it. It's not that big a deal ultimately.
Like what I see here, the subtitle in his face, that perfect.
Yeah, just that. I mean, I think it would have been fine, but I think also the just changing the line doesn't necessarily account for what their delivery is going to be. And I think I still would like a very over the top hammy delivery in Star Wars for such an, I don't know. There are a lot of operatic villains, I feel like, that are just a little like they're turned up a dial. They're a dial higher than the average everyday person.
I suppose I don't have very, very long memories of the camp being on the Imperial side.
Of the camp?
Yeah. Like the campiness and the hamminess of it. Like Tarkin was for sure kind of trying to play on Shakespearean, but not so much like mustache twirly villain.
Okay, yeah.
I suppose this is something that's been established for Hux for a while now, but I don't know. In this movie in particular, it just went really, really extra.
Yeah, but I will say, Palpatine is very extra. Palpatine was in a different movie for some scenes, and then Count Dooku also stepped out of a different film for some of his dialogue in the best way possible. I love Count Dooku, but his we'll decide this. As a contest with our swords, or it's twice the pride, double the fall. Just some of the lines feel like they're turned up to 11.
Yeah,
and that's why Leia did the British accent at first.
Right.
Yeah.
At the Attack of the Clones live table read that we did, Nina West, who is a drag queen from season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race, played Palpatine. And for a lot of people, myself included, we were like, oh yeah, Palpatine needs to be played by an over-the-top drag queen. It was like so perfect.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds woke. Just kidding. Sorry.
Okay, I'll keep playing. So this is Rey. Just very creepy string music, violins.
Why did the Emperor come for me? Why did he want to kill a child? Tell me.
Because he saw what you would become. You don't just have power. You have his power. You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
Oh, I like what the music does there.
Yeah.
Is this footsteps oddly in time?
Oh.
Am I hearing that right?
I don't know. I mean, I perceive
I'm
the string...
unfamiliar with the time signature of this particular scene, but it was starting
Is that
to
why he
sound
walks
like
so heavy? He just has a tune in his heart at all times.
He has a tune in his heart. There.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't do that sometimes.
You have a tune in your heart.
I do.
Okay. Let's hear.
I
Let's
walked to
re-listen.
You don't just have power. You have his power.
Is it before this?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's walking up to her.
Emperor.
Okay. I mean, for a few
Why does he
footsteps there,
walk like that?
it is pretty regular sounding. I don't know. I don't think it's
It
two
almost
the
came
beat.
out like, yeah, every time the strings started again. It's odd.
Foley people must have had a fun time with that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's walking sort of at a mostly regular pace, but not exactly regular. I feel like it says something about his confidence here, whereas Rey is just kind of quiet and still. He's, walking around like, I don't know, kind of intimidating, kind of just showing that he knows his way around here, and he knows more than her, and he's going to teach her something. And, she should just be here to listen.
I wonder who got the footage first. Was this
And that's
scored
the
first, or did the
creepiness.
Foleys get it?
I think scored first.
I'm not certain about this film, but I know there is occasions where the scene is described to John Williams. He scores it, and then the scene happens, and then they watch it together, and then he makes alterations if needed. That at least happened in the past, but I don't recall. I did watch a documentary on this one, but I don't remember.
I think the music here sounds similar to the music in Empire Strikes Back when Vader's like talking to the Emperor and is going like, "What is thy bidding?" Yeah, I'm gonna play. I will play. I will make my case. Okay. Let's see. Making my case.
I do like how it's like the creepy strings, as he has something weird to tell her, and she's like, I don't know how to I don't know what this is. I don't like it. I don't feel right about this kind of feeling of the long strings in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, here we go. It's after this.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
Here.
I have felt it.
We have a new enemy. The young rebel who destroyed the Death Star. I have no doubt this boy is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker.
How is that possible?
Search your feelings, Lord Vader. You will know it to be true. he could destroy us.
He's just a boy. Obi-Wan can no longer help him.
The Force is strong with him. The son of Skywalker must not become a Jedi.
If he could be turned, he would become a powerful ally.
Yes, he would be a great asset.
Anyway, it's slow moving, high strings, kind of.
But it's also underscoring the reveal that
of lineage.
This is Palpatine's fear. He's afraid of what Luke could be. He was afraid of what she could be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very interesting similarities.
I think it's there.
Yeah, I just find it. So I don't know what would be more. I think both of these would be interesting. It would be interesting if it turned out that John Williams was aware of this. The thing is, he's usually not aware because he just does so many movies. And it would also be interesting if he just felt inspired to make to do a similar kind of thing here.
Well, as you started to play it, it almost sounded like Vader's boot steps were going to start doing the similar thing. It did 2 time part of the time, but it didn't continue like it did in Rise of Skywalker. But
maybe this was the temp
thing
track
I did miss
for John.
I did miss
Williams.
the triangle.
Oh, the triangle. Yeah, maybe it was the temp track. So maybe John Williams. Maybe because they cut when they give John Williams like the film. The editors cut it with music from his past scores, and then he writes stuff that is like similar to that. So, yeah, let's hear. Waiting so long to talk, because that's a power move.
Come for me? Why did he want to kill a child? Tell me.
Because he saw what you would become. You don't just have power. You have his power. You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
Gnarly.
My mother was the daughter of Vader. Your father was the son of the Emperor. What Palpatine doesn't know is we're a dyad in the Force, Rey. 2 that are 1.
Lore drop. Okay, that's the end of the minutes, but we have another theme there at the end, which is the Psalm of the Sith, Anthem of Evil, basically. I really like this version of it. It's very dark but stately. I'll play it from the soundtrack so you can hear it without dialogue. It would be at 57 seconds.
Did the novel ever reveal how Kylo came to know that?
That's a good question.
Not that I recall.
Is it not in the novelization?
That's why I'm trying to recall because
I feel like I would remember that being in the novelization.
So it wasn't in the initial talk on Exegol?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read it.
I know that Palpatine feels it as soon as he siphons their power and gets a sense of what kind of power it is. Oh. But that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, did they ever? Because it just comes out, what Palpatine doesn't know is that we're a dyad. It's like, oh, that's cool. How did you figure that out?
I mean, he was going on his adventures with meeting with Eye of Webbish Bog and doing weird stuff.
But that wasn't in the movie.
I mean, that was in. So I never it got to me because I've always seen him as someone who is always having to hide his true intentions from his masters. At least that's what I learned from Snoke.
Well, it got to me because learning that all of that happened and was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Like learning that they had taken almost 8 minutes of him doing some deep dive lore and then it being dossied up to a montage of him slicing through people on Mustafar. And then like there's just a random box in the middle of the field. That is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just like, man, was the extra 8 minutes to show that journey a little bit more in depth, that much more expensive? Probably, I don't know.
I mean,
listen,
every minute is expensive in film, I feel. But
Lucasfilm, give me a novel, and it's just takes place throughout the entire sequel trilogy, and it's just Kylo Ren's perspective through everything that happens through the 3 films.
Yes, I want that.
You know, and it'll also expand on the year gap, you know, in between TLJ and TROS. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah, I want that. I want that. I feel like I want to know, like, you know, he must be meditating about something when he's like doing whatever he does with Vader's helmet. Like he has an eternal life, you know, like, you know, Darth Maul kept a diary, according to that one book. But, you know, I want to know.
I like to think that he just used the helmet as a prop for his like Shakespearean, because I think all people on the dark side are theater kids who didn't get to express themselves as theater kids, and so I know he picks up the Vader's helmet and does Hamlet. You know, like I just see it.
No, he totally does. No, he does do that. Yeah. So okay, wait.
Also,
no, go ahead.
Just the most tragic thing that I think though didn't make it is the scene where we're supposed to get the way that they find out about Kijimi is Kylo Ren reads Chewbacca's mind to find out that that's where they were going. And in that scene in the novelization, what he sees is memories, and he sees himself as a child and Chewbacca teaching him how to shoot and how to ride a speeder and do all this stuff. And to me, like that should be a big turning point of what starts to bring him back to the light towards the end is reliving like those really good moments. And I think it's a tragedy that we didn't get to see those scenes.
I completely forget about the whole this whole past that Kylo has had with Chewbacca. I feel like
Chewbacca taught him. In fact, there's another scene in there where Chewbacca goes into the Falcon and there's a little room. It's actually Lando's cape closet, but that was Chewbacca's room. Mm-hmm. And the only thing he pulls out is like a little hollow, and it's him holding little Ben. That's the only thing he has in there. You know, like that was his. I mean, I guess for Chewbacca, Han and them are more like pets than anything else. But like that was his like. That was his pet's child.
Yeah,
he adopted it.
Yeah,
it was a puppy.
Yeah,
or kitten.
I'm gonna play now. I'm gonna play the Some of the Sith. Little moment here. Okay, go back a little bit. Here. I mean, we're used to hearing it like a lot more aggressive and brassy, the do 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 do.
Yeah. No, that felt like
There's
an
also
evening
some
at
of Rey in
Dracula's
there,
mansion.
too.
you know?
Totally. What did you say, Pep?
There's also some Rey in there towards the end.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, I wonder what you're hearing there.
Goes to
Isn't that Kylo's theme?
That's Kylo.
I mean,
yeah, but
I think the real answer is that they're just two
Marianne
notes.
Marianne said, no, it sounds more like Ben's theme, but
It does.
Marianne
It sounds,
said that
it's
Ben's
Kylo
theme
redeemed.
is, yeah, Marianne was telling us was that Ben's theme is essentially Rey's theme. Like, I forget what term she used, but it was.
Is this an
something.
episode
There was a connection
that's like available to watch on YouTube or whatever?
It was our not last episode, but the one before that.
Okay, cool. So
183.
Okay, I'll check that out and I'll put a link in the show notes.
But I am going to need to be a fly on the wall and just hear you and Marianne talk.
Well, hopefully
because
we can make that happen.
she got to do a whole panel on music at the last convention, and so she gave us like the quick and dirty version of some of the stuff she was saying during her panel.
Cool.
It was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, invite me on. I'll invite Mary. Or is it Marianne or Marianne? Marianne.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the stately like Anthem of Evil thing on the strings, and with like I just love the separation between the notes. Like here, it's like the articulation.
It's funny
is,
you say
is
stately.
very. Does it not feel stately to you?
No, it does. I'm saying it's funny that you say that word because as I was listening to it, it felt very. It felt very. I suppose if can this word attach to Star Wars, but it felt Orwellian.
In what way?
If you think about the villains in dystopian stories, it's usually very, very like, I think we keep on coming back to it. Very, very Shakespeare, very government, very highbrow. And so hearing it being stately and being kind of highbrowish with the Sith, made me think of like an Orwellian future where the Sith are in control of everything.
No, I think there's something to
Planet
that.
of the Sith.
And then also add on top of that, what he's basically saying, my mother was the daughter of Vader, your father was the son of the Emperor. What he's saying here is we are Sith royalty. And so it's stately, it's like royal sounding, but like in a dystopian way. Like we're royalty and we're the future. Like that's basically what he's saying.
Like in Kylo Ren's mind, he would stick out his hand, and then she would say, and they would do a courtly dance.
You could almost so that's where it comes in, where you can almost kind of see a panning shot of a very dystopian cityscape with like an ivory tower, and see and hear that same music playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking evil palace. Whether that's Dracula's castle or the palace from the Hunger Games.
Totally.
It's got legs. It could be it could do a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's listen to that again with the dialogue back in.
My mother was the daughter of Vader. Your father was the
They're grabbing arms.
What Palpatine doesn't know is we're a dyad in the Force, Rey. Two that are one.
Yeah, it was starting to repeat.
Those,
the end there.
Those woodwinds.
Yeah, they're so cool, right? And it's as she's like kind of looking over the, she's up high, like she's looking over the edge, and the woodwinds kind of like, you can hear the woodwinds like panning down or something. Like it sounds like that's
kind of
what
like
doing.
a warning. It's the warning with the barrier too, because like it's like acting as an airlock almost.
Can you find the music from Empire when Vader asks Luke to join him? I'm curious if there's any similarity.
Join me. Let me see. I just searched my notes for join me. Oh, there's a lot of notes for join me, and together we can rule as father and son. This is in at 137 of minutes 111 to 115. So let's see. I have that. Yes. Okay. This would have been in episode 23. Yes. Coming right up. 23.
Sorry.
At 137. That'll be okay.
Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Son!
Oh, I love this part.
Come with me. It is the only way.
And here's another like
And he falls.
a falling thing. Oh man, that is so good.
Every time he says as father and son, I think of Mufasa when he says my son. Like it's James Earl Jones through and through.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Luke, you have forgotten where you came from. No, I was
Also,
just trying
like,
to see if
hints
there's a
of-
similarity between the, being offered this thing and then looking behind you and being like, or I could jump to my death.
Hints of George Lucas's McClunky dialogue there when he says, together we can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. I'm like, how are we gonna destroy? He knows this is happening. I didn't really think about that.
I want to listen to the woodwind thing without dialogue and without the minutes like cutting off right there, because we should get like 2 more seconds of it. This doesn't sound like the right place. Just a second. Okay. Okay, here we go. Your father was the son of the Emperor. What Palpatine doesn't know is we're a dyad in the Force, Rey. 2 that are one. And there's the precipitous edge. Yeah, it's very good. There's one thing that I forgot to mention that I just love this set where you can see Kylo's quarters and Kijimi together. Like at about 1:30 of this set of minutes. Let me see if I can find it. Do you know what I mean? Like when they're fighting and you can kind of see like both of them.
So part of the street is where Rey is.
Yeah. I just think it looks really cool. While I find that, is there anything else about these minutes that you didn't get to, that you just want to talk about, you didn't get to mention?
No, I think for me, I think I did a pretty good job of of talking about the things that were important to me. Sometimes Choco and I can go at it even as dyads, hey, Rey and Kylo go at it,
Here it is.
But nothing's missing.
You can see Kijimi on the right, and you can see Kylo's quarters on the left.
Yeah.
And like the shot kind of moves from one end to the other. I mean, yeah, it's very good. What about you, Choco?
I mean, I at first I thought it was a kind of a cash grab, but I actually ultimately really like the Kintsugi nature of Kylo Ren's reforged helmet and how we now there's cracks. I mean, it was obviously just meant to be ultimately symbolic of his nature. I think it's about time for me to do like another rewatch, because there's a lot to really enjoy about this film.
Yeah, I liked the film when it came out, but I think with all of the sequel trilogy, my rewatches will have to happen, and like they will be different with every like era of my life. Like I think I'm excited to like revisit again in 5 years, and then 5 years after that, and to do like kind of a new, just like have a little bit of a reset.
There is a thing with watching these movies in certain environments. The first movies that I watched in a theater was The Phantom Menace, because I was born like just a couple years after the originals landed. And I was surrounded by hatred, by the backlash. And it affected my thinking of the prequels for the longest time before I was able to watch them on my own. And so that's why going into the sequels, I had largely stood my ground. But there's still a lot of rhetoric that's just in the general airwaves around you that's affecting small parts of your mental, I suppose, processes as you watch this stuff. And so even with my subsequent watches of Rogue One, that movie has drastically increased in my ranking with subsequent watches. So I think in general, rewatches are a good thing for Star Wars fans, in particular Star Wars fans, because as we've been fighting this fight against media illiteracy and toxicity and bigotry, we have found people that have commented, I gave The Last Jedi another shot and I absolutely loved it. And so there's an argument to be made where if you're surrounded by sequel hate, it can affect your consumption of that medium. So I think for the most part, I was kind of concentrating so much on their capitulation to the backlash from The Last Jedi and how some of the story beats they reversed course on. And I was kind of, I guess, disenfranchised by that because I loved what Rian Johnson set up. And that's not to say that J.J. Abrams took the entirety of what he set up and broke it, but there was definitely some threads that he set up that was going to go somewhere for Finn, and for Poe and Rey that I don't think is where they took it in The Rise of Skywalker. But just to go off of Choco's sentiment, I'm I'm sure that watching these movies more times and augmenting what you're surrounded by as you watch them, you'll be able to change your thinking.
And not only what you're surrounded by, but a big thing for me is we've gotten so much more content since then, and so much more context. With novelization and Secrets of the Sith, Shadows of the Sith aside. We have different stuff we've learned in the comics, and of course there's even threads from the High Republic that point to certain things that happen later on. And so just like you said earlier, Xanthi, that you can't it's hard to separate what you know from when you knew it. And so there's a lot more things that I know now than when I saw the film. And so I'm curious if my feelings on the film are stuck in stasis based off of what I knew at that point in time. Also, from what I know about the creation process and what was happening behind the scenes and all this stuff. And I just think in general, I'm a different person,
I'm almost certain
I was
going
then.
to change.
So,
it's changed for me
about that. I mean, I had that happen with Rogue. I hated Rogue One when I first saw it.
We're a dyad in that regard.
It was below Rise of Skywalker for quite a while.
Rogue One is still below Rise of Skywalker for me.
Okay.
But it has risen. But
so
when I rewatched it, also, it was better than I remembered, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had started doing, the High Ground podcast. And so I had people who that's their favorite film and they just gushed and loved it and all this stuff. And then I listened to them, what they saw in it, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, man, this is a different movie because I see what you saw. I missed all of this before. And I just think that's a fascinating thing. And and it'll just bring more joy. More joy is better, in my humble opinion.
Well, as of now, The Rise of Skywalker is the middle of the pack for me.
Nice.
Where
Truth be told, I don't like to rank. I can't rank. I feel incapable of ranking the Star Wars movies, at least the episodes. Because to me, they're like all a unit.
Well,
or maybe three
what I
units,
like to do is compartmentalize them into the most favorite, middling,
so you have tiers.
Least favorite of each trilogy.
Oh.
So like the top 3 is the top from each trilogy versus like this entire rank of like, oh no, I'm putting all of the originals up there, But it's also the truth. Which is odd how that shakes out because there's the Empire, there's The Last Jedi, there's Revenge of the Sith. That's all 3 different trilogies. Then there's Return of the Jedi, Attack of the Clones, and The Force Awakens, which now has been shot down by Rise of Skywalker. So now it's
so now Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker, and then it's Force Awakens, Phantom Menace, and
A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, I still rank them, but at the same time, I realize I feel what I feel. You know what I mean? So like there's parts of my rankings that just don't make any sense. If I rank all of them, you'll see that on average, the prequels end up being the lowest. But when I think about Star Wars, I might love them the most. I just don't think they're anywhere near as good as a lot of other Star Wars, And so it's like I can rank them.
Well, it sounds like your rank, it means a different thing. You're saying like, what is the rank of what's best? But then there might be another rank of like, which one is the dearest to my heart? Which do I love the most?
What? Yeah, and that's a weird because my ranking is what I like the most to what I like the least, not what I think is objectively, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I just love the prequel era and the lore that we've gotten and the stuff that I've learned from Clone Wars and all the books that I've read. And so it's like that's not in the film. I can't put it there, but I still love them. You know, I do still have Rise of Skywalker's Last, but that's actually the reason why when I talk to people now, I don't ask for their full ranking. I ask for their top 5 because I think your top 5 is ultimately all that matters for getting a feel for what you're into. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now for me, it's just what's your favorite. Because everything else kind of just is this kind of word bubble in social media, what they call the word bubble, where it's just
the word cloud.
Some word, word cloud, where some are just bigger, but it's mentioned more for some reason.
Yeah.
Like Empire to me is still my favorite, but I talk about The Last Jedi so much, so it's like Empire, but then Last Jedi. So it's weird how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like some study that was like about what people thought were their favorite films or like the best films or the shows that they believe that they're going to watch. And then it's what they actually watch when they turn on Netflix is like something completely different. I think the way that ranking makes sense to me on a moment to moment basis is just thinking of, in order, what do I most feel like watching right now? It feels like the most honest
that makes sense.
ranking for me. And the thing is, like, I think Empire might be I might rank it number 1, but when I just feel like putting on a Star Wars, it's a prequel, usually.
See, I feel largely the same way, and I think of it like food. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I might want like a nice steak, baked potato, and asparagus. Right, you know, but like and a glass of wine. But that's like a special dinner. I don't eat that every night. Mm-hmm. More often, you know, you're eating pizza or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that this thing could still be your favorite, and it's only for special occasions. You know, I actually have this problem with anime a lot because, like, when I really like a show, I'm like, no. When it's time to watch this show, everything else shuts down, and this is my time. Which means if I do have other stuff I'm doing, like, okay, I'll turn on this show instead. Mm-hmm. Yep. Then I fall in love with that show, and then now I have to stop that show until I have nothing else, and then like it's just it's a vicious cycle.
You just need to start watching things that you feel mediocre about. You just
exactly, and then they get good.
That's kind of like how I used to be with McDonald's. You know, people were like, "Do you really think McDonald's is the best burger?" It's like, no, the best burger I've ever had cost $24, and I'm not about to pay that every freaking day that I want a burger. So it's just sometimes you just get a burger that's mediocre, just to have a burger.
Not that any of the Star Warses are a mediocre burger.
No.
Okay, I'm going to go over the themes from this set of minutes, and then we're going to do the questionnaire. The themes from these set of minutes are Kylo Ren B, hesitant, Imperial March, I think, Emperor, Rey's A theme, the Star Wars main theme, Kylo Ren's A theme, and Some of the Sith A section. And then in the soundtrack, you can find the music here on the For Your Consideration soundtrack, track 9, Hard to Get Rid Of. And then on the OST, the track called Join Me. So are you two ready for the Star Wars Music Minute Questionnaire?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of something snarky to say in a Star Wars quote. But yes.
It's both of your second time doing this. So do you want me to read your old answers first, or do you want to say your new answer first?
I want to say my new answer first because I don't recall answering.
Neither do I.
Yeah, let's see if so I'll be able to tell you. If it'll be funny if you say the same thing. Could happen.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So I guess we'll go Choco first and then Pep. Okay, so in exactly 3 words, what does Star Wars sound like?
Classical, timeless storytelling.
Okay, you didn't repeat anything from your last time. Previously, you said hope, redemption, spirituality.
Okay.
Yeah, all of
I like those answers better.
Those are really good. And what about you, Element?
I have a feeling my answer is more technical this time around, but the 3 words I would say now is a major lift.
It's like,
because I think the
like
entirety, I think the entirety of Star Wars, because I've been listening a lot to Leonard's Hallelujah, but like a lot of what Star Wars is to me and how it resonates with me musically is these chords, these often repeating chords that come in either thematically or in the undertone of a scene to tell you, there's some connection there. Mm-hmm. But the theme of Star Wars is also a major lift. Like, it starts off with, I think it starts off with some minor chords, if I'm not mistaken, then it lifts. But I would describe the entirety of Star Wars music as that secret chord from.
Interesting. Yeah, from Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's what I was thinking when you said that. Previously, you said Beyond the Horizon. It's funny that you both did like the same format of answer. Like Brandon did 3 separate words, and you did like a 3-word phrase both times. Okay, question number 2 is what is. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Question 2 is, what is something related to Star Wars music or sound that you want to learn more about?
I guess I missed the or sound part because now that makes me. But just the artistry of the dance between emotion and utility of creating soundtracks specifically for Star Wars, because like we said, there are things that make the music sound Star Warsy. However, it also contains the things from the classical elements of music that are meant to convey very specific emotions, to build tensions, to uplift, to drop off. But each one is also very utility based, where the whole goal is to be capable of telling a silent story with just music. Cut out the words. Do you know what's going on? And I fully believe you do. So there's a lot of pieces that have to come together perfectly for this to work and to still be so uniquely Star Wars. But that concept boggles my mind, to be honest. Yeah, it probably is like a Sunday evening for you, but for me,
no,
I'm like, how do you put these pieces together?
No, that's a question that is, I think, never completely answered, because like, how do you break down like technique and inspiration, or like emotion? Like, it's like both.
There's also nostalgia in there, and like there's so many.
Like it has to, like one thing that I like when I listen to or when I watch movies, sometimes I feel like the score wasn't that good. Like I just saw a movie the other day where I was like, the score wasn't that good. And then the word I use often with scores is, but it was serviceable. It did its job. It did its job. And it was fine. It was just like, it was like a very plain meal, I guess. It was serviceable, but like, yeah.
Hey,
well, like
that's McDonald's for me. It's serviceable. It's
like specifically Rey's theme. I don't understand how you make that, because it's very Star Wars, but it doesn't sound like any other theme.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for Rey. Mm-hmm. And it conveys the emotion and hope. And you're like, how does it sound like Star Wars, but not sound like anything else in Star Wars? And how does it fit this character so perfectly that it doesn't fit any other character. You know, I just think that's.
I think Rey's theme is a phenomenal addition to the female hero themes, and so very different from Leia. And Anyway, all right, Pep, your turn. Oh no! Previously, Choco, you said the creation and engineering of new sounds. That's what you said last time.
Okay, I still think that's cool.
All right, your turn, Pep.
I got my answer from today's episode, which brings me to Foley work, because like we got so many sounds in this that like you don't typically hear when you're watching it in the theater and you have the moving pictures, but then like when you isolate it, you know, this whole thing about like what is that sound? What caused that sound? Was there intention behind it? Like I think in general, doing Foley work has been interesting to me ever since I started doing dubbing work, like as a hobby, because a lot of times I will have to recreate a soundtrack for a particular anime scene. I have on my portfolio a fully reproduced scene from Violet Evergarden. Yeah. And I just took the whole scene, muted everything, and I did custom sounds for everything.
Cool.
And so just in general, Foley work, being able to find the right sounds for something that is futuristic as Star Wars, like Choco said in his previous answer, like the creation of a sound for something like that is particularly diegetic to Star Wars, and then like what creates the bear, like what had to happen, what conditions needed to be satisfied for that klaxon, I'll call it still, to come out of nowhere, out of Rey's exertions.
Yeah.
Sound effects.
I mean, that makes me think of, because, you know, I before wanted to bring comics to life. And so like I've done that with comics where you are creating sound effects for panels and scenes and stuff. And you're like, you know, one of them, Darth Maul's like melting through a door, and you're like, okay, how do you make the sound of using a lightsaber to melt through the door and then the force push it open? And it was like a boat sound, and it was metal wrenching, and it was like a grunt. And like, you
lightsaber
know,
through the door? I'd sear a steak.
I mean, that actually was part of it. I'm not even joking. It wasn't searing a steak. It was fajitas. But yeah, that concept is so cool. But I was using pre-existing sounds. The people who don't have pre-existing sounds, you just have to, you know, record yourself doing mouth noises, or like, you know, getting a wet mop and hitting a drum with it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I feel like also probably Foley artists, I feel like they must get a lot of joy out of the creative process. So it must be fun to be able to make some of the sounds yourself, and then also like tweak them as you need to, because you're the one that did it, so easier to tweak, I guess, to do another take or something.
It's also fun to find out that like a certain sound came from something that you didn't think would be associated with that action. Like,
yeah,
I can't think of one right now, but I just know there's a lot of Foleys out there that were made by using fruit, and it has like zero, like, how do you think that's going to be the sound that you need in this scene?
I mean, one of my favorites, which
I also have.
Oh no, I was going to say one of my favorites that relates to your previous answer, by the way, was lightsaber sounds, and I think one of my favorites is the dry ice, like the metal against the dry ice for the when the lightsabers are locked up.
I was really, like, some of them are the exact opposite sound too. So like the sound of like big metal cables being struck is a blaster sound. And I discovered that as a kid. I was like, this sounds like kind of sounds like a blaster.
That's awesome.
And then finding out
that's actually what it is.
That is what it is. You're like, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like when an elevator cable snaps, it goes. Pshoo!
It would probably make that sound, but yeah, they're normally on bridges or power lines or,
yeah, like just bonking it basically. Okay, question number 3. What is a score or soundtrack that you're fond of besides anything Star Wars?
I feel like I might have the same answer to this one.
I do feel like I will have the same answer as well because it's tied so tightly to a memory. So I used to snowboard a lot, and the best feeling of all time is fresh powder, just coming down and listening to the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. I can't describe it, but you're just like carving through trees, like dun 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 dun. Like it just works.
That was your last answer, so yeah.
I was about to say that's Howard Shore, isn't it?
It's Klaus Badelt and Hans Zimmer.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we might have similar composers.
What's your answer?
Mine was The Last Samurai.
That was also your previous answer.
It's a soundtrack that I often listen to a lot. A lot of the woodwinds and the songs have a very evocative way about them, especially when I want to get into not to be like stereotypical Asiatic, anything like that. If I want to get into Zen, they have the right sounds and the right instruments to get me there. Yeah.
Consistent, both of you.
Was my explanation also that similar? The same?
I don't remember your exact explanation, but it would be funny if it was.
Mine was for certainty.
Yeah, I think I remember this story.
Also, weird shout out, but soundtrack to Spider-Man PS4.
Oh, you can. I'll add that to yours.
Soundtrack.
No, you can absolutely mention a video game.
You know what? Yeah, I'll add Good Will Hunting to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting.
Just so you have something
Who
different to put
composed
down
that?
this time. I'm unsure.
Okay, Good Will Hunting composed.
Matt Damon.
But
Danny Elfman. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Did not realize that.
The scene that comes to mind is the theme of when Ben Affleck's character shows up and he's not there. Will's not there.
Okay.
After makes the decision.
I actually would to retract my bonus answer and change it to 28 Days Later.
Okay.
I remember I used to be obsessed with that soundtrack, and it's all.
And that is composed by John Murphy. Huh. That's a name that I am not super familiar with. I should probably listen to that.
Yeah,
okay.
I haven't heard that name before.
Is it? Oh, there's a soundtrack album. Okay, I see. Soundtrack album and is the accompanying soundtrack to the 2002 film 28 Days Later. Cool. Great. Okay.
Very good.
Also,
check it out.
Yeah.
Robin Williams' coup de grace in Good Will Hunting is just about how I feel as a dyad with Choco, which is his improvised line. Son of a bitch stole my line.
That's funny. All right. Well, thank you both for coming on this show. It was, we had the good fortune of being able to see each other in person last month, and hope we can do that again. But I'm always happy to talk to you.
We need to
about
more
Star Wars.
often.
Yes, absolutely. Tell everyone where they can find your content, your podcasts, etc.
You can. You can follow me at Darth Choco on TikTok, Darth Choco on YouTube, but most definitely check out the Dyad and the Force podcast, and I will let Pep talk more about that.
Yeah, so Dyad and the Force is our live show every week on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific. We talk about lore. We have lessons on lore, which is kind of centered around everything you know about Star Wars is wrong. Which makes sense because we have like 40 years of YouTubers primarily making content on Wikipedia articles and not on the source themselves, which is a huge issue, by the way. We need to support the authors. And then we talk about the latest announcements. You know, in our last episode, we talked about Star Wars Outlaws, which is largely a huge Star Wars playground if you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah, you can catch me on TikTok at _element7_ that'll never change _gang.
Sweet.
I will add to the end of that. We need to hang out more just in general. You know, a lot of us are in the same locale. Mm-hmm. But like when we see each other, it's as if we're like flying in. It's like,
true.
Oh, it's been
the last
so
time
long.
was like 2 years
like,
ago.
well, I'm just down the street.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of this show. I'll be back next week to talk about minutes 66 through 70 of The Rise of Skywalker. You can support the show on Patreon. You can follow me on anywhere that social media. That's not true. Socials will be in the show notes and current to whatever is happening, hopefully in the year that you're listening to this. That's all I have for today. Thank you to the guests, and may the Force be with you. See you next week on Star Wars Music Minute.